Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back here to the Launchpad for another live launch coverage. You are joining us for our live launch coverage of Virgin Orbit's first ever night launch of their Launcher One rocket that gets launched from Cosmic Girl, their Virgin Orbit plane that takes off from Mojave Air and Spaceport in California. You're looking at a live view of radar at the Mojave Air and Spaceport, where we are awaiting Cosmic Girl to take off in the next few minutes. Takeoff now scheduled for about 20 minutes from now. Virgin Orbit teams are preparing for that takeoff, and we do hope to have live views from Virgin Orbit in the next couple of minutes. But you are joining us, as I said, for our live launch of the straight up mission of Virgin Orbit's Launcher 1. Today's payload is going up into a 500-kilometer low Earth orbit. The Launcher 1 vehicle is not reusable and will crash into the Pacific Ocean. This is Virgin Orbit's second launch of 2022, their fifth launch of the Launcher One rocket, the fourth official mission for Virgin Orbit, and this is their first ever night launch. But welcome, if it's your first time here, you are joining us for a great live launch tonight. We're not too sure what views we'll be able to see. One, because it's a rocket strapped to the bottom of a plane, but two, it's also nighttime there, so it will be a little bit of a twilight just based on the current time, but we'll hopefully get some interesting views from today's launch. But if it's your first time here, welcome. My name's Zach. I'm the founder and host here at the Launchpad, and here at TLP, it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, because we believe that space is better together. And if you guys have questions at any point through tonight, you can let us know in the chat by dropping those in, but make sure you drop in that tag at the Launchpad so we will be able to see those questions come in. If you haven't yet, follow us over on our Twitter, where we tweet live space news as it happens. You can join us on Discord if you want to be part of a great community. And as it continues to be launch day, and launch day kind of rolling into July 2nd, you can head on over to our shop, use promo code LAUNCHDAY, all one word in caps, and you can get 10% off of everything in our shop. Global shipping is available. But as we await for Virgin Orbit to patch up their live feeds, we'll be answering your guys' questions, so you can send those in by tagging us at the Launchpad. And there we go, Launcher 1 having started up their feed, so we've got that patched in, but we are keeping an eye on that radar on your screen there. That is where they will be launching from. They've got one of their support planes doing some flybys right now, just making sure everything's good to go, as we are about 20 minutes away from liftoff of Cosmic Girl from Mojave Air and Spaceport. But if you're just joining us, welcome here to the Launchpad and our live launch coverage of Straight Up, Virgin Orbit's Launcher 1 mission, launching from Mojave Air and Spaceport here today. Launch expected to occur at 5:30 UTC. We're expecting Cosmic Girl to take off in just a few minutes, but we're going to listen in to Virgin Orbit Mission Control as we get ready to watch Cosmic Girl take to the skies. Let's listen in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the live stream of the Virgin Orbit Straight Up mission. We are so excited to be with you here tonight in the studio, live from Long Beach, California, just down the street from our Virgin Orbit manufacturing plant. My name is Allison Packard. I'm your host for this evening. I'm joined in the studio tonight with my Virgin Orbit co-hosts and rocket scientists, Alex and Keith.
Good evening. My name is Alex Poveda. I am the lead mission design engineer here at Virgin Orbit. My team selected where our aircraft Cosmic Girl is taking off from today, the path she's taking to get to our drop point. We selected the drop point itself, and then we designed the trajectory that our rocket, Launcher 1, is going to fly today to take our customer satellites to their orbit. I'm here today to give you a background on our mission, to describe the mission itself, and also to give you a status of our current countdown to launch.
And I'm Keith Vanderputten, Senior Manager of Guidance, Navigation, and Control here at Virgin Orbit. My team determines the course that Launcher 1 flies and steers her into orbit. Today, I'm going to be your eyes and ears into the Mission Control Center, providing updates along the way to keep you informed as we proceed through launch. So far, as a quick update, we are disconnecting for all of our ground systems from Launcher 1 and prepping to taxi. So with that, let's go back to Allison in the studio.
Thank you so much, Keith. Now, I wanted to share with you a little bit about our purpose. Here at Virgin Orbit, we're on a mission to provide access to space in order to help improve life on Earth. Now, because of our unique air launch system, we're able to help small satellites get into orbit that help expand the potential of scientific research, education, climate observation, and business needs. And that all starts with our 747 airplane, Cosmic Girl. Alex, can you tell us a little bit more about the star of the hour?
I sure can, yes. So our launch system actually consists of our aircraft, Cosmic Girl, and of our rocket Launcher 1, and a set of trailers that we call our ground support trailers. We're going to put a little graphic up on the screen about our aircraft. So our aircraft is Cosmic Girl. She is a Boeing 747. She came to the Virgin family back in December of 2001. She has actually flown over 2 million passengers and has over 66,000 hours of flight. She's flown 1,000 plus more than 1,000 flights out of JFK. So she is destined to be one of our aircrafts here because of her name Cosmic Girl that she already had before we got her. Next is our rocket. Our rocket is called Launcher 1. It is a 2-stage rocket, both stage 1 and stage 2. Our stage 1 engine is a Newton 3 is the name we gave it. It has a maximum thrust of 77,000 pounds and then it's going to burn for 3 minutes today. Our stage 2 engine we have called Newton 4. So Newton 4 is going to have a maximum thrust of 5,000 pound force today. And it's going to burn for approximately 6 minutes. So the total burns from stage 1 and stage 2 is going to result in a max velocity of 17,500 miles per hour today. Also, we have our ground support equipment. So these are a set of trailers that are mobile. It's part of what's unique about our system. So we have our aircraft, Launcher 1, and these trailers. First, the power trailer provides power to our rocket until it goes on its own. And then we have our fuel trailer that provides the fuel to the rocket, which it's already done its job today. We have a liquid nitrogen trailer that's keeping everything cool. We have gaseous helium that's making sure we're getting the right pressures in the right places in our rocket system today. We have the gas that's providing the various gases that our rocket needs for launch today. We also have gaseous nitrogen that's providing pressures in our rocket today. And then, of course, we have our liquid oxygen. We also have conditioning, which is making sure that our flight computer and other electronics on the rocket are staying at the right temperature. It can get pretty hot in Mojave and it can also get pretty cold. And then finally, we have our interface trailer, which helps facilitate all of our ground support equipment connecting to our rocket. Now, as Keith just mentioned, we're unhooking all of that because we're getting really close to taking off today. So we're going to show you some shots of the area and some video and little pictures and some video. So we'll be right back with some more.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome here to the launch pad and our live launch coverage of Virgin Orbit's Launcher 1 straight-up mission. Crews, as you can see on screen, are preparing Cosmic Girl to take off from the Mojave Air and Spaceport as we come down to L-1 hour, 19 minutes, 10 seconds and counting until the expected drop time of Launcher 1. Teams are currently unhooking some of the last equipment from the Launcher 1 rocket before Cosmic Girl, but the Boeing 747-400 that Virgin Orbit uses to launch Launcher 1 from the air is able to begin her roll down the runway. If it's your first time here, though, welcome here at the launch pad. It's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow because we believe that space is better together. And if you guys have questions, you can send those to us in the chat and we will be answering those live. On your screen now, on the left is a live view from Virgin Orbit's broadcast, but on your right is a live flight radar of the Mojave Air and Spaceport. You can see one of the support planes doing some circles around the air and spaceport there as we await Cosmic Girl. Current takeoff time is expected about 14 minutes from now. Once Cosmic Girl gets rolling, it does happen quite quickly, and as you can see there, the engines are already in a little bit of a free spin, but they're not fully started up yet. We'll see those engines fully start up once Launcher 1 is fully detached from all of its ground support systems, but teams are continuing just to proceed through their final preparations ahead of that expected takeoff time at 10:40 p.m. Pacific time. The Mojave Air and Spaceport is in California. We'll be flying over Los Angeles, and on your screen now is a rough timeline of what will happen throughout today. The plane will fly. It takes about an hour to get to the actual drop zone where the rocket will actually be deployed. Following that launch, we will see the following launch, Cosmic Girl kind of banks off to the right. Launcher 1 will drop, ignite its engines, and then begin pivoting up to begin its flight to low Earth orbit. Today's payload on board is for the Department of Defense. They have gathered several satellites from various government agencies to fly as research and development satellites on board today's mission. There will be 7 payloads flying on Launcher 1 during this straight-up mission of these CubeSats that aim to evaluate radio frequency behaviors in low Earth orbit. It will do this by testing out meshing capabilities to send data wherever, whenever it may be needed. On board is the Slingshot 1 CubeSat, which aims to test onboard autonomous experiments and technologies. They also have on board a couple of other DoD program CubeSats that we don't know a whole lot about, but each satellite has been branded for a part of the military they've been designed for, but they are not all been made public. But today's launch is a partnership between Virgin Orbit and the United States Space Force and the Department of Defense. Once Cosmic Girl reaches 10,600 meters, or approximately 35,000 feet in altitude, the pilots will pitch the plane upwards at a 27-degree angle. Then controllers will give the launch command for the release of the Launcher 1 rocket to ensure there's no accidental jettison prior. The Launcher 1 contains 3 hooks that will detach the rocket, letting the rocket fall away, and about 3 seconds of free fall will occur before the propellant thrusters ignite on Launcher 1, continuing its journey to space. If you guys have questions, keep sending those in the chat. We'll be answering them live. We're going to listen back in to Virgin Orbit Mission Control.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. Alex, can you tell us a little bit about why we're launching at night this time?
Sure, yes. So we're actually launching at night this time to practice. We're practicing this for our next flight. So this particular one, there's no requirement that's requiring us to do it at night, but on our next flight, our customer has a requirement. They call it local time of ascending node. So the satellite is going to pass the equator as it's going in its orbit, and they want it to happen at the same time of day every time it passes it. And so in order to do that, we have to launch at a very specific time. So for the time that they want that to happen, it means we have to launch at midnight for where we're launching from.
Amazing. And we'll be carrying 7 payloads into orbit tonight. Can you, for those that may not be initiated, define what a payload actually is?
Yeah, you might hear us a lot tonight say payload, and so what we're referring to is our customer satellites. So a lot of the engineers will refer to that as payload. So you'll hear that quite often tonight. Yes.
Great. And is there anything you're most excited to see this evening?
Well, I do want to state a little bit something about what we're doing with the satellites, is that we're taking them to a 500 by 500 kilometer orbit at a 45-degree inclination. So this is going to be probably only the second time that a launch vehicle has taken a payload to a 45-degree inclination from the West Coast, because it's normally very difficult to get around the land masses. But since we're able to fly out, we're able to do that type of trajectory and just do a turn. We call it a dog leg later on. So that's something I'm excited to see us do again for the second time. And again, just getting that customer payload to their orbit.
Very exciting. And I believe we have some footage from Mojave. Would you like to see?
Sure, let's show that.
Okay, we'll be right back.
And if you're just joining us, you're looking at some footage they've recorded of the Mojave Air and Spaceport, where Virgin Orbit is preparing to have their Cosmic Girl 747 take off, beginning its journey of about an hour out to the launch complex. prior to launching the Launcher 1 rocket. And on screen now is a look at the current fueling operations of Launcher 1. You can see fueling completed of both the fuel and the oxygen on both the first and second stage of the Launcher 1 vehicle. This is one thing we really love about Virgin Orbit, is just how much raw data we actually get to see. This is the live telemetry of Launcher 1, and we'll get to see this throughout the evening. You can see there also the voltage and the power. You'll see the speed and altitude of Cosmic Girl, and lots of other information, which is always absolutely incredible to be able to see. I see a couple of questions coming in the chat. Are the payloads all CubeSats? Yes, they are. Justin asking, how do they fuel the rocket? On the ground, just like you would a plane. So they'll just hook up hoses to the rocket, and they are able to fuel it in that sense. Axeman, will the launch be televised, or do we have to watch it on a 2D radar screen? They will have live camera views. We normally have an onboard camera of the rocket view that we get to see when they drop the rocket. During the actual about an hour out, we'll see some various shots sometimes. So this is still quite new. This is only the 4th operational launch of Launcher 1, so they're still expanding what their views are like. So stay tuned and we'll get to see what we have tonight, but we will live track where the plane is throughout this evening to make sure that you know, if you guys are in the region, where you may be able to see it. Now, the launch does take place quite a bit off the coast, so keep that in mind. Let's listen back in to Virgin Orbit Mission Control.
Coming up next, we have an interview with one of our Virgin Orbit customers. Please welcome Lieutenant Colonel Belts of the United States Space Force. Danielle, please take it away.
Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Devoy, and I'm a Senior Mission Manager. With me today is Lieutenant Colonel Justin Belts, who is the Chief at the Small Launch and Targets Division. Welcome, sir.
Hey, thanks, Danielle. Good to be with you.
Sir, can you tell me a little bit about your role, please?
Yeah, so I'm the Program Manager for the Rocket Systems Launch Program, which is the Space Force's small launch capability. And I lead about 85 folks of the Small Launch and Targets Division. We're part of Space Systems Command, which is one of the 3 basic building blocks of the Space Force called Field Commands. And our team is located at Kirtland Air Force Base in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Hill Air Force Base just outside Salt Lake City, Utah. And our role is to put missions on orbit for the Space Force.
Wonderful. Can you please tell me a little bit about how your team at RSLP and STP work together?
We work very closely with the Space Test Program to design missions and then find the best launch solution. So the Space Test Program runs a forum called the Space Experiments Review Board, or SERB, and that forum brings a whole bunch of stakeholders within the Department of Defense together to pitch ideas for new experiments, and that forum decides which ones will get funded. As those experiments are kind of being built out, the Space Test Program packages them into individual launches, and then we work with them to find the right launch solution.
That's cool. So how do you and STP decide which missions you're going to package together?
Yeah, so really it's a function of which missions are ready at a given time. We tend to structure our missions about 1.5 to 2 years before flight. Mm-hmm. And so really it's a function of which payloads are going to need a launch about 18 to 24 months down the road.
Great. So how does using an air launch system such as Launcher 1 help you and the Space Force meet your goals?
Thanks. Yeah, so Space Systems Command is very focused on delivering resilient and sustainable capabilities for the joint warfighter, and launch is a really big part of that. We're seeing a really good variety of systems come out of industry. There's new options in fixed site, flexible site, and air launch solutions like Launcher 1, and it gives us a tremendous amount of flexibility and resiliency. The Space Force doesn't really have a preference from among those 3 options, but we're really excited to see Virgin Orbit expand its capability to launch from new sites beyond Mojave.
The motto for Virgin Orbit is opening space for good. Are there any aspects of the S-28 mission that you think really embrace that?
Yeah, so we are really excited about the things that industry is bringing to the table. And in large part, that's about capability, but it takes really good company culture to drive those capabilities forward. And so Virgin Orbit's motto is a good example of that. In terms of the individual payloads, so all 7 of the payloads on this mission are important to us, but I think the Slingshot 1 payload that we'll be flying is a great example. So it's a partnership between the government, the Aerospace Corporation, and industry. It's a larger 12U CubeSat, and it uses a kind of a plug-and-play standard interface to have a number of experiments on the same CubeSat. And it's advancing technologies from artificial intelligence to cybersecurity really just across the board shows what we can do when we're all working together.
It's great. And 12U is one of the biggest satellites that we've launched yet on Launcher 1.
Yeah, so another great payload on this mission is the Nachos 2 payload, and it's studying gases in the atmosphere to look at phenomena ranging from volcanic eruptions to climate change. So it's really interesting.
So, sir, how do you see the partnership between Virgin Orbit National Systems, and the United States Space Force going forward in the future?
Yeah, so we are excited to be launching with Virgin Orbit today. Virgin Orbit National Systems is one of our 11 providers on our small launch contracts. And they really won the first competition that we ran on our OSB-4 contract, which was deliberately set up to bring in a whole crop of innovative new launch providers. And today's launch will be the first in a series of 3 launches. So we look forward to successfully completing all 3 of those. Beyond that, we tend to compete our launches one at a time, and I expect Virgin Orbit will continue to be a strong competitor for those launches.
We're definitely planning on it, sir. Well, thank you so much for your time, Lieutenant Colonel Belts. We're really happy to have you here.
My pleasure. Thanks, Danielle.
And back to you in the studio.
Thank you so much. Stay tuned for more customer interviews coming up. But in the meantime, we polled our audience on Instagram and Twitter and asked what questions you had about our rocket launch. We're going to hear a few of those questions now. Alex, do you think you'd like to take a stab at the first question?
Sure, yeah, let's do it.
Okay, great. Our first question is coming from Cooper in Los Angeles, California.
Why do we need more satellites? Why can't we just use the ones we already have?
Hey, Cooper. So we want to put more satellites in space to make life better here on Earth. So newer, more advanced satellites could do things like maybe track a wildfire live, track the weather, track climate change, or provide faster internet, better communication. The new idea now is to send up cheaper, more advanced, smaller satellites into a low Earth orbit. They actually won't stay in that orbit very long. They'll enter in a few years, and then we can replace them as needed. But it's almost like, you know, keeping a cell phone for 10 or 15 years or getting a new cell phone like every 2 years.
Amazing. I think I need a new cell phone. Well, thanks, Alex. Let's
Sure.
hear another question from our audience. And this time, let's have that answered by a special guest.
My name is Rye. How does a big rocket fit on a plane?
Hi, Rai. That's a good observation. Rockets don't usually fit on the aeroplanes we fly on. We had to do a lot of work on our Cosmic Girl aeroplane. We installed an underwing pylon so the rocket doesn't travel inside the plane but on the outside below its wing. And we give the rocket a ride to the sky. Then we release it, and then it turns its engine on, and then it flies to space at 17,500 miles an hour.
Getting prepped and engines are starting to be turned on at this point. So we're getting real close to takeoff. That's it for now.
And if you're just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad. You're looking at a live view of the Mojave Air and Spaceport, where Virgin Orbit's Cosmic Girl has come online. Teams are doing final checkouts and engine startup, and we should be about 8 or 9 minutes away from Cosmic Girl being wheels up from the Mojave Air and Spaceport. Beginning, it's about 50 to 60 minute journey to the launch zone over the Pacific Ocean, where it will drop its Launcher 1 from the left wing of the Boeing 747-700 aircraft. Now, this is the first and only vehicle Virgin Orbit has at this time, but 2 more were just put on order in the last couple of weeks, so soon Virgin Orbit will have a fleet of rocket launch vehicles. This vehicle, Cosmic Girl, will be making its way over to Europe in the next couple of months for its first flight out of Spaceport Cornwall. Virgin Orbit has also signed deals with Brazil for Brazil to launch its very first payloads from within Brazil. We're still waiting to hear full details on those missions, but that's one of the really unique parts about Virgin Orbit's Launcher 1 system, is that as long as it's at an airport where you can land a Boeing 747 and they can get the fuel requirements that they need, most of the rest of the ground support system is very basic supplies, electrical, oxygen, things like that. They're able to do that at basically any launch site as long as they can get kind of some hangar space or tarmac space to prepare for launch. And then, of course, they need to have a designated launch zone where they drop the rocket and then have its ignition and flight path as well. But really opening up many countries to have their own space programs launched in the near future. But Cosmic Girl expected to be wheels up in the next about 7 minutes. Right now you can see it's at an altitude of 2,591 feet, and on your screen now a live look at the telemetry of both the rocket and Cosmic Girl. You can see there fuel is complete. It's at 100% fuel, ready for today's flight. You can also see the voltage of the bus of the vehicle as well, so everything proceeding very well. Temperatures are looking good. Virgin Orbit will bring those on and off screen throughout this evening as we count down towards the targeted drop time. Last we heard, they were targeting drop in 1 hour, 1 minute, 15 seconds from now, but we're still waiting for an update on that as they did take that clock off. Once Cosmic Girl is airborne, then we do expect to have a better idea of when it'll arrive on the launch zone. And on the right side of your screen is live telemetry from the Mojave Air and Spaceport, where you can see the Cosmic Girl flight tracker ping has been activated. We can see that it is already online, and we are just awaiting for Cosmic Girl to get wheels up, and we will be tracking the vehicle throughout its journey to the launch site. Conan, thank you so much for that super chat. You sent 2 tonight, so thank you so much for your support. We do appreciate it. But if it's your first time here, welcome. My name's Zach. I'm the founder and host here at the Launchpad, and here at TLP, it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, because we believe that space is better together. And if you haven't yet, take a moment, engage that like button, share out the broadcast. It really does help us out, and invites other people to watch tonight's launch, the first ever Launcher 1 launch at night. And as we've now know, this is a test mission for launching at night, because their next mission is required to have a night launch due to where they need the payload to be at a certain point of time every day. So to be able to open that requirements, you can see do that, and it looks like Cosmic Girl is on the roll there. Yep, speed has increased, and Cosmic Girl is beginning her journey down the taxiway, possibly right onto the runway here, and should be wheels up in just the next couple of minutes. If you guys have questions, you can keep sending those in the chat. We'll be answering those live. Just make sure you tag us at the Launchpad or send it in as a super chat, and that'll bump you to the next question being asked. To get all the YouTube stuff out of the way, if you haven't yet, follow us over on Twitter, where we live tweet space events and space news as they happen. Join us over on Discord if you want to be part of an awesome space community. And our shop, of course, it's launch day, so use promo code LAUNCHDAY, all caps in one word, to get 10% off of everything on our store, and global shipping is available. On board today's flight is a number of payloads, 7 payloads for the U.S. Space Force and Department of Defense. Most of them are research and development CubeSats that they are going, as this is a DoD mission for some of these payloads. We do not know the full details of all of the payloads that are on board, but we do know that a couple of them will be demonstration missions on how to evaluate radio frequencies in low Earth orbit, as well as test onboard autonomous experiments and technologies that will be used possibly for various government agencies. And this is just another vehicle that the U.S. government is beginning to use to be able to launch more. There you can see Cosmic Girl with some absolutely beautiful night shots, very dramatic shots of Cosmic Girl on the roll down the taxiway, heading towards that runway to prepare for liftoff there. Liftoff expected about 4 minutes from now. At this point, it's pretty rare to see any sort of delays. It's a 747 plane. Let's listen back into Virgin Orbit Mission Control.
Exciting. So obviously, as you can see, Cosmic Girl is going out to the runway, and she should be taking off very soon. When we had that backside view, you could see her checking all the flaps. You can see her checking the tail flap. So that was super cool. So we're going to both watch and listen as she makes her way out. Time as it shows on the screen is expected for 10:50 p.m. Pilot will probably have the audio from the plane. She's going to say she's doing the cold pass. So that means we're getting to the drop point, but we're not going to actually drop the rocket. We're just going to make sure all systems are still go, make sure the ground antennas can still receive and track the telemetry. Then, while still in this racetrack pattern, I'm just pausing here for a second to watch her. We're going to hear her say terminal count. Terminal count is like 15 minutes to drop. Okay, here we go. This is awesome.
Wow.
Wheels up. So Cosmic Girl is taking off. We are on our way. All right.
Wow.
Excellent. Awesome. Okay, so as I was saying, it's about an hour to get to the drop point. And when she's out in that drop point, we're going to want to listen for what we call terminal count. That means we're approximately 15 minutes away from dropping the rocket. That's where we're getting the stage 1 engine ready to start going through a sequence of events to get that ready. And then you're going to hear a call from the crew for drop ready. And then drop ready mode lasts the maximum 90 seconds. So within those 90 seconds, we're going to drop the rocket and we'll hear release, release, release. So our plan is to have the audio from the aircraft on at that time so that we could hear that from the pilot.
And if you're just joining us, you are looking at live views as Virgin Orbit's Cosmic Girl has taken off from Mojave Air and Spaceport in Southern California and is beginning its journey to the launch zone. On the right side of your screen is a live look at the flight telemetry of Cosmic Girl, and we'll be following its path from the Mojave Air and Spaceport to the launch site. Drop time expected about 55 minutes from now, but once Cosmic Girl arrives in the flight zone, we'll hear terminal count, and that'll reset the T-minus 15-minute clock. Just as everything goes, there's always the risk of possible delays. There is a live view of Launcher 1 under the wing of Cosmic Girl, currently flying at almost 7,000 feet, traveling 317 kilometers an hour already, beginning its journey towards the drop zone. If it's your first time here, don't forget you can send in questions in the chat by tagging us at the Launchpad. We'll be patching in Virgin Orbit's team on and off. We do have to be careful. Virgin loves using copywritten music, so there are times that we have to be careful with their audio there. And we'll go from there. Now we're seeing... There we go. That's the one we want. That's the Virgin Orbit plane. Looks like another flight flying from... That's a Mojave to a Mojave also. So we're going to keep an eye on that and see, because there's now 2 planes showing up on the flight radar at the same time. So we'll try to verify which one of those 2 is the right one, and make sure we're following the right one as we head on out to the launch zone.
But what a great shot. I'm happy to see that. All right, so now that our aircraft's up in the air, it's probably a good time to tell you what exactly is going on or what she's doing right now. So I'm going to describe the flight path that she's taking. So as we mentioned earlier, everything was out at the Mojave Air and Spaceport. And so Cosmic Girl just took off from that runway out of Mojave Air and Spaceport. So she's going to fly a flight path that we've carefully coordinated with the FAA, just because we have a loaded rocket attached. And then she's going to go into what we call a racetrack pattern. So in that racetrack pattern, she's going to first start off by going to the cold pass. That's where I mentioned we pass the drop point and just check everything out without dropping the rocket. But then we'll go to that drop point again, and it's called the hot pass. And that's where we'll actually drop Launcher 1. And so that's what we're heading our way down to do right now. So super exciting. Before we do that last turn on the last pass, we'll go into terminal count. So you'll hear that. So listen for that. And then we'll go to drop ready. As soon as that rocket drops, there's a little bit of a delay before it ignites. Cosmic Girl will bank a quick right turn, and then she'll return to Mojave pretty much at the same path that she came out from. So let's now switch over and tell you a little bit about our pilots. Allison?
Absolutely. So we actually have 2 pilots aboard Cosmic Girl this evening. Our chief pilot is Eric Bippard. Eric has been flying since 1986. He's logged over 4,800 flight hours and over 1,000 flight test hours. If you want to play along at home, his call sign is Bip. And in the second seat, we have Matthew Stanny Stannard, who is the Royal Air Force test pilot on loan to us this evening. He's been flying since 2006, has over 3,000 flight hours and over 200 flight test hours. His title is Flight Lieutenant.
And if you're just joining us, welcome. Here we are counting down L- about 49 minutes until the expected drop time of Launcher 1 in the launch zone above the Pacific Ocean. On your screen now, you can see 2 live tracking views from Flight Radar. One of the map tracking of Cosmic Girl, but one also of a simulated view of what the plane is actually seeing and flying over as it heads towards the Los Angeles County basin and region as it heads towards the Pacific Ocean and towards its drop zone. And there on the main screen is a live view of the view on Launcher 1, hanging under the wing of Cosmic Girl, beginning its journey, now traveling 444 miles per hour, already up at 23,500 feet in altitude. Today's payload drop zone is around the 35,000 feet zone, so well on its way to its targeted drop altitude, and about 40 minutes or so away from arriving at the actual launch zone itself. Again, if you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat. We'll be answering those live. I want to say a big thank you to Joe there for donating 10 memberships for our community. Really appreciate that. Really awesome thing that YouTube's rolled out. So if you are already a TLP member, you are now able to actually gift memberships to other people. It's a one-time gift of 1 month of that access. If you were gifted a membership and are already on our Discord, DM one of our mods to make sure that you can get your behind-the-scenes access for this month over on our Discord, and that's where you can get early video access, behind the scenes views, live video editing, and things like that. And if you've been gifted it, consider signing up yourself. So after this month, you will auto renew so you don't lose that access. Today's mission is named Straight Up, and it is named for that by the artist that... Today's mission is named Straight Up in honor of Paula Abdul. Virgin Orbit always selects a mission name based on one of the artists that had signed with Virgin Records back in the day. So today's mission is named Straight Up. Paula Abdul got to visit the launch site a few days ago and shared a bit about it on her social media as well. Kind of a cool thing to be able to be nominated and, you know, have a mission named after you. If you were to have a mission named after you, what would you want it to be called? Let us know in the chat.
Let's hear about some of the satellite payloads we'll be delivering tonight. First up, we have Gunsmoke L, which will produce 2 tactical space shuttle support vehicles, which will aid in all phases of Joint Force operations. Second, we have Modular ISR Satellite, a program intended to demonstrate responsive multi-mission CubeSat capabilities. The MIRSB CubeSats are the second in a series of missions to demonstrate various capabilities and mission effectiveness. And third, we have Slingshot 1, which is a program developed by the Aerospace Corporation to use a commercial 12U CubeSat as a demonstration platform for the use of new modular technologies to speed up system development, allowing for faster information. Now, we'll get back to some of the more payloads in a minute, but let's dive back into what inquiring minds want to know. Our next audience question is from Haley in Pacoima, California.
My name is Haley. My question is, when you send rovers up into space, how do you keep them from floating away forever?
Wonderful question. Well, Earth is a lot bigger than our satellites, so its gravity has a strong pull on them. and that is why they don't fly away forever. Since Earth spins, it pulls the satellites with it, and this allows them to stay above the same spot on Earth almost constantly.
Back with a quick update from the MCC. We are currently reviewing all the data from Launcher 1, and the operators are judging it and assessing for stepping into terminal count. So that's going to be going on for a little while now while we proceed and approach that gate. So with that, let's take a look at some of the data the operators are reviewing by taking a look at our data GUI. So as you see across the top, we do have the Launcher 1 vehicle. We have stage 1 on the left and stage 2 on the right. All the tanks are fully fueled and loaded up as we expect for being in flight. What you see next is our Newton 3 aux pump temperature. It's really important that we chill this down before flight to actually get it matching the liquid oxygen temperatures that are going to be flowing through it. So that all happens when we're in terminal count. So you're going to see that it is still sitting really high up at like Mojave temperatures. But once we start terminal count, it'll start being chilled down and getting into range. Next, you see the stage 1 propellant temperatures and pressures of the tanks. Those are reading as we expect for this part of the captive carry profile. Similarly, we have the interstage temperature reading within expectations, and the separation bottle for separating the 2 stages, pressurized as we expect for when that kind of separates the 2, pushes them apart. Stage 2 is reading within bounds as well for temperatures and pressures. And then the payload is still sitting in a very comfortable temperature to keep all of the sensitive and satellites set. Our bus voltages are reading within bounds as expected, and Cosmic Girl is up at that 30,000 feet flight level, cruising along. The pallets are pressurized or loaded still, and the pylon is properly pressurized, holding Launcher 1 attached as expected. So with that, we will take a quick break.
Hello, Sadie and Cora. The rocket goes very, very, very fast indeed. Its maximum speed is 17,500 miles per hour, or 28,163 kilometers per hour. It must go this fast, otherwise it gets pulled back to Earth by gravity.
So as we're waiting for Cosmic Curl to get to that drop point, we want to tell you a little bit more about the payload. So another payload on our vehicle today is called the Compact Solar Total Irradiance Monitor, CSTIM. So this one is a 6U CubeSat. It has specialized sensors and instrumentations to measure the sun's energy entering the Earth's atmosphere. So given that the sun is our predominant energy source, I could see how we can get a lot of useful data from this. So a very interesting one there too. Another one is GPX2. So this is a technology demonstration of differential GPS. So differential GPS uses both GPS satellites and ground station satellites on the ground. And it's set up to like significantly increase the accuracy of the GPS. I did wanted to add a little bit too, and you might have heard a little bit when Lieutenant Colonel was talking, but this mission is also known as STP-S28A, STB being the Space Test Program. And it was awarded to Virgin Orbit via a subsidiary, Virgin Orbit National Systems. They actually won a contract with the U.S. Space Force on their Rocket System Launch Program, or RSLP, which is part of the OSP-4 contract. So I just wanted to add that. I know the Lieutenant Colonel had mentioned it earlier, but I wanted to mention it again.
Thanks, Alex. Now, in addition to our two pilots, we also have two additional flight crew aboard the plane. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about their roles?
Yes, so we do have two launch engineers traveling on the plane. They're on consoles with their computers and checking the status of the rocket. So Sarah Barnes and Dale Alexander. And so they're flying there with the two pilots.
Amazing. And it's going to be very different. Is there one certain aspect that you are most excited to see tonight?
Again, just those satellites getting to orbit. But right now, you know, we're looking for getting to the drop point. And when that happens, everything's gonna be really quick. So right now we're waiting, and might be kind of like getting impatient, like let's get there. But once it starts going, it's gonna be fast. So, and I want to do a quick shout out. So we've had our sign language interpreters here, Brian, and the other interpreter, Chris. So I'm very impressed that they're, keeping up with us with all of this tech talk. So I appreciate it, you guys.
Thank you so much. Great. Well, we'll be right back. Thank you.
And if you're just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad. You're joining us for our live launch coverage of Virgin Orbit's Launcher 1 for its straight up mission, Virgin Orbit's first ever night flight and launch. Cosmic Girl now over the Pacific Ocean. You can see there on the top right part of your screen our live tracker. We'll zoom it out one more time so you can see that bunch of blue dots. That's the Los Angeles basin, and then coming down towards San Diego so you can see how far off the coast and south Cosmic Girl is heading into its flight zone, its launch zone. Once it arrives in the launch zone, we'll see it do a racetrack maneuver at least once, if not twice, to practice its positioning, to make sure it's all lined up and set. And then the third time we go, those are when we will hope to hear those magic words of release, release, release. There's a live view of the rocket hanging under the wing of Cosmic Girl, where the fifth engine is possible to be attached to Boeing 747s. That is how this plane was modified. At this time, we're coming down to approximately L-31 minutes and counting until drop, but that time will be adjusted as when they get to L-15 minutes when they arrive. There's actually a live view from Virgin Orbit of a live tracker of where the plane is. You can see it coming off the coast, so we are pretty much spot on our tracker there as it travels. Currently over 31,500 feet, traveling 464 miles per hour. Target altitude for deployment, 35,000 feet, so very close to reaching its top flight altitude as it continues towards its journey. On the bottom right of your screens, animated telemetry view of what the plane would be seeing in front of it. Let's listen in to Mission Control.
We had some cool shots there of the pylon and the rocket again, and we very quickly saw a little animation of where our aircraft currently is, so we should have that back up again. I want to tell you a little bit more about a couple more of our payloads that we have tonight, or our satellites. So another one is called Nachos 2. You would have heard the Lieutenant Colonel mention that one. So Nachos 2 is going to measure dilute gases in the Earth's atmosphere to kind of track things such as volcanoes and climate change. So as the name implies, it's the second of a series. So there's a Nachos 1 and then there's a Nachos 2. And so part of what they're also going to do is see how these two satellites can work together to collect this kind of data. Another satellite that we have going up into orbit today is called Recurve with our Air Force Research Lab. So it will demonstrate adaptive radio frequency capability from low Earth orbit platform. So basically using RF antennas to talk to the satellite from the ground. So some good tests and experiment that we can do there. Now our current flight today is actually very similar to our last flight, Flight 4, that we called Above the Clouds. It was also a 500 by 500 kilometer orbit to a 45-degree inclination, as I had mentioned earlier. So let's go ahead and check out this video with a little bit recap of that flight.
And as Virgin Orbit plays a recap of their previous mission Above the Clouds, which launched earlier this year. That was their first mission of 2022. We're going to take some time to answer your questions, so you can send those in the chat by tagging us at the Launchpad. And if you haven't yet, we encourage you to take a moment, engage that like button, and share out the broadcast as we come down to less than 30 minutes away from the targeted drop of Launcher 1 over the Pacific Ocean, beginning officially the straight up mission. Right now, the Cosmic Girl is basically the launch pad and is getting and is bringing the rocket out to its launch site ahead of its targeted drop in about 28 minutes from now. On board, 7 payloads for the U.S. Space Force and Department of Defense for testing, but this is one of these early missions in some of these new contracts where the U.S. government is using some new launch capabilities we've seen with Astra, Electron, and with Launcher 1 as well. If you guys have questions, keep sending those in the chat by taking us at the Launchpad, and we'll be answering those live as we continue towards today's drop zone. Stay with us right here on Launchpad.
I do have some updates from the MCC and Cosmic Girl. Cosmic Girl is reporting that everything is nominal, as expected, and the MCC has worked through its terminal count checks and verifications to make sure that we are good to step into that operation. That should be coming up at about 17 minutes to drop. That will step into terminal count. And then additionally, we have gotten verification that we are receiving telemetry from our Long Beach headquarters, which we transmit to as we get closer to the drop point. So that's all going forward nominally and as expected. So now let's take a chance to look at the rocket flight profile that it's going to fly after Cosmic Girl drops it. So Cosmic Girl will drop it at 35,000 feet. We'll then, 5 seconds later, ignite the Newton 3.1 engine. That'll power us for 3 minutes to get us to our main engine cutoff point once all the propellants are gone. We'll then do stage separation and let Newton 4 take over and start powering the remainder of the vehicle for the next 6 minutes until we get to our second engine cutoff point, which we will then be at 170 kilometers up in altitude. We'll also now be in a transfer orbit that is going to let us proceed around the world and gain altitude on the way. As we do that, we're going to rise up to our 500-kilometer target for deploying the payloads. We're not done quite yet, though, because we have to do a second burn of our Newton 4 engine to circularize at that orbit. So we raise up to a 500 by 500 kilometer orbit. We'll then move forward and deploy the payloads, and after that, we'll then be done with our mission, and we'll have mission success. So that is the profile, and with that, I can hand it back to Allison.
Amazing, Keith. Thank you so much for breaking that down for us. Now, can you tell us a little bit about what we might expect to see this evening?
Yeah, it's actually pretty exciting because this is our first time doing a night launch. So when we look at the video from Launcher 1 as it's flying through Stage 1 flight, we are going to be seeing probably a much larger and brighter plume than we normally see. We're also, as we get higher up in altitude, we'll probably start seeing the lights of Los Angeles in the distance. And I do believe that if you're on the beach in the Southern California area, you may be able to see us flying out in the distance, low on the horizon.
So if you see an unexpected mark in the sky, that just might be Virgin Orbit tonight. But make a wish anyway. Well, this is very exciting. We're getting really close to drop right now, so we'll be back in a few moments. everybody. Now, you may be wondering why we've named our missions Straight Up. Well, that's because here at Virgin, we name each of our missions after a hit album from Virgin Records. Our first commercial launch was Tubular Bells, named after Mike Oldfield's 1973 debut album, which was also the very first release on Virgin Records. And then our second commercial release was Above the Clouds, which was named after the 1998 Gangstar album. Now this time we are paying homage to American singer Paula Abdul and her breakthrough hit, Straight Up, from her album Forever Your Girl. Yes, all right. Hey, baby. Okay, all right. I promise no karaoke in the studio, but after the live stream, it's go time. Now, last week was the 34th year anniversary of the album's release. Paula, we are huge fans over here at Virgin Orbit. Thank you so much for inspiring this mission. And now for a surprise video from the legend herself.
I cannot believe that the day is finally here. Close to 2 months ago, I got a phone call that Richard Branson wanted to name his next orbit shuttle Straight Up. And here I am in the Mojave Desert. I got to see the Straight Up shuttle that's going to be dropped tomorrow night. It's the first ever evening flight, and it's going to be, if you're by the ocean, between 10:45 to 11:45, you will probably see it. I can't believe it. It's called Straight Up, Straight Up, Straight Up. Oh my God, I'm freaking right now, and I'm here just seeing all these geniuses do what they do best, and my hat goes off to them. It's fascinating what I've learned so far, and let's go take a look. Let's go take a look at the Straight Up orbit shuttle.
And if you're just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad. You're joining us for our live launch coverage of Straight Up, named after Paula Abdul's album of the Virgin Orbit is preparing to drop their Launcher One rocket from Cosmic Girl. You can see there on all three of our trackers that they have now entered that first race track. So you can see that on our radar on the top right of your screen, that kind of oval that is starting to form on the radar track. It's going to do at least one more full pass on those, most likely, ahead of actual deployment. On your screen, on the main screen, you can see those circles, and that is actually following along the path, and where the yellow is, the red line is where they will drop, and the rocket will continue on, and then the plane will bank away and complete the racetrack, and then begin its journey back to the Mojave Air and Spaceport. As we continue right now, teams are on track for a drop in roughly about 12 and a half minutes from now. They keep adjusting their drop time, so we're going to leave ours steady where it is now, and see as we get closer when they confirm how the drop is going. They should be entering the terminal account here shortly. Currently, they're at an altitude of 31,657 feet. No speed to the rocket just yet, obviously, because it's attached to the plane, but the plane itself was traveling about 74 miles per hour, and we are about 12 minutes away from drop. Again, if you guys have questions, you can send those to us in the chat. We'll be answering those live as we continue towards the drop zone. And take a moment and share out the broadcast. Let people know they can join us for our live launch coverage of Virgin Orbit's first ever night launch of the Launcher One vehicle. Launcher One is fueled and ready to go as they head into their first completed loop of the racetrack ahead of deployment in about 12 minutes. So stay with us right here on the launch pad.
Quick update from MCC. We have started our terminal count procedures. These are basically what we run to cool down the engines and prep them for actual launch. So everything's moving forward, and we're proceeding nominally and as expected. So with that, we'll go back to video.
Keep communication with the rocket when it's moving every 20 feet.
Owen, that's a brilliant question. The rocket moves very fast, and the Earth itself is moving fast as it spins too. And we have satellites here on the ground all over the world so that our communications with the rocket are always covered.
A lot of exciting things have been going on in the last few minutes. So you kind of tell from that graphic that it's in that racetrack pattern. It already passed the cold pass of the drop point, and as you heard, we're in terminal count with about 9 minutes left to the drop time. So when we drop, a lot of things are going to happen really fast. So I want to kind of describe it now, because we'll have the mission control audio on so you can listen, and then we'll recap after, but I want you to know what to listen for. So obviously you're going to hear release, release, release. And so that's when the rocket is dropped. And then the propellant selling thrusters, or PSTs, are going to ignite. So you'll probably hear PST2 ignition. And then you're going to hear main engine start. And then you should hear a call out for max alpha. That is the most difficult part of the trajectory of our flight to control. So we definitely want to hear that we've gotten through max Q alpha. And then the next thing that we're going to hear is, well, that was max alpha, sorry. The next thing we're going to have to hear is max Q alpha. That is the most stressing part of the trajectory. That's where most of the forces are on the rocket. So we want to hear, hey, we've gotten through max Q alpha. Then we're really getting up there, and we're going to eventually get to down throttle. So listen for a call out for down throttle. That's when our sense acceleration is 5 Gs, and we didn't want our satellites to sense more than that. So then we down throttle our thrust to a lower state point level. And then very quickly after that is going to be main engine cutoff, and we'll be coasting for a little bit, and we'll separate stage one. So hopefully we'll be able to see our aft cam on the rocket and see that really bright plume that Keith described, and see the separation event itself. So pretty soon we'll turn up that audio on that mission control, and we'll listen in. So next we want to listen for drop ready, and then we're going to want to listen for release, release, release. So we'll be right back with that. Thank you.
And if you're just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad. We are coming down to about 4.5 minutes from the targeted drop time of Launcher 1 to begin its straight up mission up to space, carrying 7 payloads for the United States Space Force and Department of Defense. A couple test satellites on board, CubeSats. Cosmic Girl is completing its first full rotation in that flight pattern as it continues on its journey, and will soon be at its location for the drop, currently at 31,660 feet. Drops normally expected around 35,000 feet, but they have a little bit of wiggle room there. Currently traveling at 499 miles per hour. Launcher 1 is fueled up and at good temperatures and pressure, ready for drop to occur in about 3.5 minutes time. If you haven't yet, take a moment, engage that like button, and share out the broadcast, as it really does help us out. And as always, here at the Launchpad, as we get into those final minutes, we want to see a go, no go from you guys in the chat as we come down towards the targeted time of hearing those magical words of release, release, release. When we get closer, we're going to listen in to the raw mission control audio. We don't have that just yet from Virgin Orbit. We'll get that in the last couple of minutes as the Cosmic Girl approaches its targeted drop-off location over the Pacific Ocean. You can see it there now, having completed that horseshoe 180-degree turn. It's now on that straightaway towards the drop-off zone, and we will be there in about 3 minutes' time. Again, if you have questions, keep sending those in the chat by tagging us at the Launchpad, but we're going to listen in to Virgin Orbit mission control as we come down to less than 3 minutes until Virgin Orbit drops their first ever rocket from Cosmic Girl at night over the Pacific Ocean. Stay with us.
Audio on mission control, but actually that's the audio from the aircraft itself. So you've been hearing the voices of Sarah Barnes and Dale Alexander. And I've heard the pilot.
Engine chill nominal.
So let's listen in.
Newton 4 engine chill nominal.
So every time you hear nominal, that's good. That's as expected, which is awesome.
LV, radio head on control room. S-band lock acquired in Long Beach.
Copy, S-band lock acquired in Long Beach.
Hey, good news there. So our antenna on our Long Beach antenna has reacquired lock. We knew that there was a bit of a blockage from some hills in the area, so it's nice to get that back. Having that telemetry is what allows us to get this video, for example, the one right here showing them.
Or base vehicle is in drop ready mode.
Oh, excellent. Drop ready mode. So we're dropping in like 90 seconds max. Let's listen in.
Well, Start warning. Release, release, release.
Yes. I
Confirmed
hope you heard
release.
that.
Base copies.
Switch
Good light.
Sabetha to S-band from
Base
Long Beach.
copies. Good
PST's
light.
ignited. Newton 3 startup complete.
She's saying it. We sense it. Or Launcher 1's going straight up to space.
Base copies. Well done.
Incredible job, Ellies.
Awesome. In the studio, can
Alpha
we
flight
switch over
complete.
to MCC audio?
Stage 1 burn nominal. Max Q Alpha achieved.
All right, so we kind of switched between the plane audio and then the mission control, but I heard the call out for Max Q Alpha. So that is a huge milestone during stage 1. I also heard a call out for propulsion being nominal. So that is fantastic, and what I can see on the video looks great.
Stage 1 PU nominal, halfway through burn.
Okay, so I just heard halfway through burn and still continuing nominal, so that's all as expected. This is fantastic.
Stage 1 burn nominal.
So we're waiting to hear next is going to be down throttle.
Stage 1
and
trajectory
then-
nominal.
And main engine cutoff. And now that was a call out from our guidance navigation and control engineer that GNC was nominal as well. So nominal propulsion, nominal guidance navigation and control. It's amazing to me to see this video coming down live.
Newton 4, chill nominal.
That was a call out that stage 2 chill is nominal because that will ignite as soon as, well, closely after stage 1 burns out. If you recall, I said stage 1 will burn for approximately 3 minutes, and we're currently on a 2-minute and 30-second count.
Stage 1 throttle down commanded.
Okay, so there was down throttle.
S-band lock for Baja TM, data confirmed.
And we're definitely getting higher in the sky.
Newton
'cause
3
that's where
shutdown confirmed.
engine shutdown.
Stage
confirmed.
7 brake wire
Excellent.
is broken.
Okay, stage 1 has separated.
Newton 4,
Because
startup
it's-
complete.
Okay, so that was a call out that Newton 4, stage 2 has ignited. Fantastic.
Switch to S-band from Baja.
So now what you just heard is our antenna that's in Baja, California is now what's picking up the telemetry data. Long Beach also can still see it, but Baja is going to be the one that sees it longer, so they switched over to it.
Bearing
Listening
brake
for-
wire is broken.
Okay, I was about to say we're listening for fairing SEP, and there goes the fairing. So as expected. This is excellent. This is awesome. Right now, this
Stage
is
2 burn
camera
nominal.
forward. You could see it at the top. Now, when we get to the other side of the world, we would have sunlight, but because it's night, we don't have any lights up on the front, and we don't have the plume from the stage 2. The cameras will switch back and forth between forward and aft. So back to the aft, showing the stage 2 plume. Yeah, if you just look at the top, it says, for example, camera aft. That means it's looking at the back end. So if you see it switch to forward, it's looking forward. It's just very dark right now, so we won't see much on that one until later.
Stage 2 trajectory nominal.
Excellent. Stage 2 trajectory, as expected, nominal. So this burn, so the timer there is from drop. So this burn ends approximately 6 minutes after drop, which would officially put us in our transfer orbit. You'll hear a call out for second engine cutoff, number 1.
Stage 2, burn nominal.
Yeah, take a look on the left-hand side there. We have rocket, we have speed, we've got altitude going up, up, and up. 569,000 feet. What, 10,000 or so?
Stage 2 PU
miles
nominal,
per hour.
halfway through burn.
Okay, trajectory still nominal, halfway through burn. So when it gets to second engine cutoff number 1 right now, we're going to be in an orbit that is 177 kilometers by 510 kilometers. It's our transfer orbit. And then we're going to coast for about 45 minutes to get to that
Stage 2,
higher
burn
altitude.
nominal, 2 minutes until SECO.
All right, I kind of talk over it a little bit, but continue to be nominal. And they called out, I believe, 2 minutes until second engine cutoff. Or SECO. Look, I'm so excited right now that I can't even believe it's 12 a.m. I don't even feel a peep of being tired.
And our speed is increasing quite a bit.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And the altitude.
What max speed will the rocket go to?
So for the end of stage 2, 17,500 miles per hour. So currently at 14,000 miles per hour.
1 minute to SECO.
1 minute. Okay, cool. Excellent. Now, when
30 seconds to SECO.
Okay, I'm just going to listen in.
AFSS mission rule satisfied.
Hotline to LD on control.
Newton 4 shutdown confirmed.
Excellent.
Hotline to LD on control.
Go ahead.
Permission to release the airspace since we've satisfied all AFSS requirements.
Permission granted.
Copy, thank you.
Excellent. So what we just heard was that second engine successfully shut down. That means the guidance navigation control determined that it had reached the transfer orbit and shut down the engine. We will very quickly right now go out of view of the Baja antenna, and then we'll be black in terms of telemetry coverage
Code started.
or videos
Barbecue roll started.
or anything like that. You might have heard Keith describe the barbecue roll in his descriptions trajectory, so that's what it's doing now. So it's going to start rotating the rocket very slowly with an orientation such that when it gets on the other side of the world and the sun's hitting it, it's going to be perpendicular to it, and then we're just going to try and balance the temperature on the rocket. So very exciting. So we've officially reached our transfer orbit. I'll see if I can get some details about the orbit. So I think with that, we'll just confirm some of the data, and we'll come right back.
Now, here at Virgin Orbit, our first mantra is do no harm, which is why our recycled and repurposed 747 Cosmic Girl prevents the need to build out new launch pads, and instead we can launch from any runway at any time. And because we launch in the air, we emit 90% less carbon onto the ground area as compared to ground launches. And the small satellites we launch help monitor things like climate change and study the Earth, helping to further our mission to open space for good. So to put things in perspective, Virgin Orbit's total impact in 1 year is still less than 1 hour's worth of flights out of LAX. That really gives you perspective on that. Next up, Virgin Orbit branches into new territory as we prepare for our first international launch. We'll be launching out of Cornwall, and this will be the first ever orbital launch out of the United Kingdom. So it's going to be very exciting. We'll be back with you in just a minute. Thank you so much for joining us on today's live stream. Please make sure to follow Virgin Orbit on social media for continuous updates on our successful satellite deployments this evening. We're at Virgin Orbit on Twitter and at virgin.orbit on Instagram.
Excellent. So just one other note, we officially made it to our transfer orbit, but we're not done yet. So we actually have to get to the target orbit to deploy our customer satellite. But that is going to be another 30 minutes. And so like Allison has stated, we're going to be ending our public broadcast now, but make sure to check our social media posts to see the final conclusion to our mission today.
Very exciting conclusion. We want to thank everyone who tuned in live to watch our Straight Up mission today. We also want to thank all of our customers for flying with us. And a special thanks to the live stream production team, the brand team, and of course, my brilliant co-hosts, Alex and Keith. We look forward to seeing you next time in Cornwall. Bye, everyone.
And there we have it. Virgin Orbit has wrapped up their live view, but we're going to stay live for a little bit longer. We are tracking Cosmic Girl as she continues her journey back to the Mojave Air and Spaceport. 20 minutes since we saw Launcher 1 dropped from Cosmic Girl over the Pacific Ocean. It is now up in its transfer orbit, and as they said, about 30 minutes away from its actual final orbit where they will do their deployments. But Launcher 1 always wraps up, especially since these are Space Force and Department of Defense payloads. We don't expect to have a lot of coverage of those as we don't normally get to see them, but on your screen there you can see a live view as we track Cosmic Girl back to the launch site. We can pull up the secondary view here for you guys as well for the actual view out of kind of like the cockpit window on the bottom of your screen here. As they begin to pass over the more populated region of Southern California. As we begin to wrap up our coverage, though, if you guys have any last questions, you can send those in the chat by tagging us at the Launchpad, and we will be answering those live just before we wrap up. But if it was your first time here, welcome. My name's Zach. I'm the founder and host here at TLP, and here at the Launchpad, it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, because we believe that space is better together, and we will always bring you live, full launch coverage of both the big and the little guys from around the world, as well as space news updates, exclusive one-on-one interviews, and more. So make sure you've engaged that subscribe button. Never miss space news as it happens and breaking stories by following us over on our Twitter. That's where we live tweet our updates. Also, consider joining us over on our Discord. That's where the TLP crew and community hang out all the time. There's a bunch of people hanging out in live comms for today's launch. We got 4984, Cable Dog, Doric, Jeebus, Kevin, Metal, and myself hanging out in there watching today's flight. And you are always welcome to join us over on the Discord. If you'd like to help support TLP and what we do, consider becoming a Patreon over on Patreon. Today's the best day to do it, as it's the 1st and the 2nd of the month, and Patreon always bills at the beginning of the month, so it's a great time to sign up there. If you prefer to be a member here on YouTube, that works as well. Hit that join button. Just know that YouTube does take 30% of that donation, so if you want more of your money going to actually what you're hoping of us bringing you the best possible space coverage, consider doing it over on Patreon or through our GoFundMe in the description. And last but not least, it is launch day, so you can use promo code LAUNCHDAY, all caps and one word, over on our shop, and you will be able to get 10% off of your entire order with global shipping available, so you can get your space gear and have your SLS shirts ready for the SLS launch. You can get your Starship shirts to be ready for the Starship orbital flight test. We're going to say we've probably got about another few weeks that you can order those to have them in hand and be able to wear those for those launches, so make sure to check that out. But as we see Cosmic Girl continuing its way towards the Mojave Air and Spaceport, it should be arriving there in the next few minutes. At this time, it's now at 21,000 feet, and it is continuing towards that launch site. We'll stay live for a couple more minutes as we see it arrive. Sometimes we'll see it do a couple flybys of the Air and Spaceport as they'll take images, but as it's night, we expect they'll probably just land right back to the spaceport, wrapping up Cosmic Girl's flight, taking off about just over 2 and a bit hours hours ago, having dropped Launcher 1 23 minutes ago, and Launcher 1 successfully bringing 7 CubeSats for the U.S. Space Force and the Department of Defense up into a transfer orbit, and in about 25 minutes or so, they'll get to their deployment orbit. That's going to wrap us up for our live commentary view of today's live launch coverage for Virgin Orbit Launchers 1 Straight Up mission from Mojave Air and Spaceport. This is Zach from TLP Network Studios signing off. We'll see you next time. Have a great night. Bye-bye.